Hey everybody, I'm Nick from Apex Mutations, and today I'm going to show you how I ship reptiles. So with shipping reptiles, I'm actually not going to ship anything out. I'm out of everything to sell. But instead what I'm going to be doing is shipping out some items that people won on some of my giveaways for being followers on Instagram. I'm not using the giveaways to gain followers, but more of like just give something useful away, which is simple, really more than anything. So like they got temp guns, because you can never have enough temp guns, especially whenever you start to have reptiles all over the house. Or say you want to double check them. Definitely. I've had mine for 2.5 years and it outlasted the one that I had previously. I started getting kind of weird temps on it, and yeah, double checked it with that one and then got another one and found out one of them was bad. And also, these guys can just give it away to whoever they feel needs it, or maybe if they find somebody new in the hobby. I've given them away for free to people that are like, hey, how do I measure my snake's temperature? How do you know what it is? Because this says that. I have, not me personally, but I have had somebody come up and they purchased some rats for me and they're like, my snake just won't eat. So I asked them what the temps were and they weren't too sure. They had a little dialed in thermostat for a heat pad that was on the bottom, and I'm like, no, you can use that. I don't. I'd rather use a herp stat, but I was like, use this, and I showed them where to point it at. Point this there, shoot it, it'll give you a reading, hold on to it for a second, you can let go and it'll lock and say what the reading is, and start adjusting your temps like that. Yeah, basically whatever you really need. So I don't mind doing snake giveaways. I do think that the more expensive snakes should not necessarily be given away, but at the same time, using a tool as a giveaway I think is way more useful and resourceful, because then you can pay it forward to somebody else or give it to somebody new, get them into the hobby and whatnot. So today we're going to ship a temp gun, but I'm going to pretend like it's a snake so I can show you guys how I ship. Now it's colder temperatures and everything, and even though I have no animals left to ship, I'm going to be doing one and pretending kind of like it is. I got a few boxes ready that are kind of set up at different stages to kind of make this faster. So one of the first things that you got to do is you got to make sure that who you're shipping to agrees upon the date and time. Mostly just the date and where it's going to be shipped at. Make sure that they're free. They can go ahead and pick it up or wait for it to be delivered to their house. I prefer to ship to hub onlys, especially when it gets cooler or too hot. I'll be shipping to hub onlys as well. I use Ship Your Reptiles. They helped me out many times with things going wrong. Colette can do just about anything. She's even rerouted something because there was a delay somewhere, and she rerouted it on her end through the FedEx hubs. I don't know how she did that to make it go to a different hub. But yeah, so I use them. They essentially give you discounts for shipping items and everything. Like for me, shipping just this, I'm not going to do a one-day shipping. Normally with shippings of anything live, you want to do next day live arrival, like immediate. We call that rush express service or just rush service, live animals, something like that. But you need to have their address, you need to know their name, have that typed out too. You got to have their company if you're shipping to a company. You need to make sure that their phone number is on there. You need their zip code if you get their address. You need that zip code too. The other thing is you need to decide if it's going to be picked up at a hub or delivered to the house. Like I said, I prefer hub pickups, but this one's just going to go to a house. It's not a live animal. However, we are going to ship it that way. So let's get down to it. After you've created a shipping label and everything, which you can do that on the express services that you use. Like I said, I use Ship Your Reptiles. They have an option there to print off your own label there. I have a printer. I print them off here, and I will stick them on probably one of the corners on the top side but it can't be covered with anything. So I do that last. Then, after you print off the shipping label, you have all these styrofoam pieces. It's gonna get noisy. Each box that you order comes with styrofoam pieces that fit it pretty tight. Oh, I'm ripping the styrofoam. So you have an empty box, and then it comes with a base, 4 sides, and a top. So first you just put down the base. You know, it is pretty common sense there. And then you're gonna have these side pieces. Now, depending on the box, some of them are completely square, like my 9x9x9s, which I will use during spring and summer. Or during winter, I like these longer ones because of how I put my heat packs. I don't like my heat packs on the top. I do my heat packs in the corner over here, and I'll show you how I do that in a minute. All right, so you start off with a box, and you slide in one of the pieces, and then you're gonna have a gap that it doesn't fit all the way across. So then you're gonna grab another piece and put it in next to the other piece, and you're gonna fit it into that gap. And it fits nice and snug right up here. Then you're gonna have a gap over here. So you grab another piece and do the same thing all the way around, like that. We'll put the top on after we get the snake and everything in, but when you push it in, the sides here will each kind of pick up and help each other, unless I'm using gravity here to make it fall down. But the sides will help to hold each other and support, especially whenever you get the top piece on and you tape it down. It really seals it in, and it helps to absorb a lot of the shocks. So that's what you're with. Then you got to find something to fill the box up with. Now, you don't need it completely packed or anything. I like to use doll stuffing, not just regular stuffing or whatever this is called, but this is a really good, hard yet soft nylon plush doll stuffing. So it'll hold form into where I put it, but it still lets airflow through it, and that's important. The animal needs to breathe. There needs to be heat exchange throughout it too, so from the heat packs, or even if it's too hot, it doesn't just sit in a pocket. You get your box, and you're gonna start packing it in. But when you pack it in, you want to kind of make sure that the sides, like, kind of push your hand against the walls. See, like here I can touch the side. I want to get more stuffing right there. That way it's a little more absorbent whenever the boxes bounce on the road, on the plane, wherever it goes, and the snake's not just smacking the side of the walls. Because as tough as snakes are, they can also be fragile. You don't want to break anything. The snake doesn't want a broken head, broken neck, whatever. It is what it is. So this is how I stop it. And I make sure that my corners and everything are good, the bottom is good, and yeah, then I can push down in it, and it still has some buoyancy to it. Same with the sides. Let's put a little more right there. There. So this is kind of how I measure it out. Now, I leave a little pocket on one side for longer boxes whenever I use a heat pack. And I'll put the heat pack over here on the side, right about this side, opposite of the hole that I just created for the snake to go in. You can also use the heat packs by placing them on top and taping them, but it does get a little risky because depending on the tape that you use, it kind of can come loose. Now, I've had a heat pack fall down on top of my snake that was shipped, and thankfully the snake was able to get out of the bag, which is a whole nother issue that we'll get on another day. But the snake got out and it didn't overheat, luckily. But the heat pack was completely on the bag of the snake. So when we were able to get the snake the next morning, the snake bag itself was reading around 150 something degrees. The heat pack finally cooled down by the next evening, and I think the lowest I got on it before it went completely cool was like 142, and that's just too hot. So you gotta be careful whenever you ship a heat pack on the lid of something. You want to make sure it's nice and secure. Like this person here This is actually sent from Meerschaum Morphs, and this was in a previous unboxing video, so if you haven't gone to see that, go check that out, because it's really nice. But anyway, so the way that he taped his was, he had it wedged on the corner over here, which works out pretty well. And he made sure that there was enough, about almost an inch of the heat pack on one side taped up, and then did the same thing. You wrapped the tape around the back, and then did about another inch. This is slightly less, but it doesn't matter because it held, and you can tell it's gonna hold. You know, it's not something that's gonna slip out. But then some heat packs, like the one that I received with the snake that got out from the heat pack falling on the bag, the heat pack was really thick. And so when the heat pack was super thick, it was heavy, there was no real good placement of the tape to hold it. It just, all the stuff on the inside, I don't know what that is, but it kind of converged into the center and had it plop down. So there's another box, and this one was what I did in my previous video. I even left my snake in here for a little over 3 hours, and I temp gunned it. I temp gunned the box around it, the heat pack, everything. And yeah, too bad that video didn't load up. So this is a really thick heat pack. See that? It's a lot bigger than the one from Meerschaum Morphs. And this is the one that actually fell through my snake, or fell on top of my snake bag. So instead, what I do is I wrap these packing paper. So the way that I do it is you get your piece of packing paper, just a single sleeve, right? Doesn't matter what size, as long as it can fit in. I double fold it, and then I put the heat pack inside. Then I will fold over it one way, and I'll fold over that previous fold I just did the other way. So this side only has like one layer, which is technically two pieces because it was folded over before I put the heat pack in. So this side over here has just two pieces over it. Well, this one has four from being folded twice over it. Let me even up the sides here, get it nice and slim. I use duct tape. Doesn't matter what color, as long as it's duct tape, or at least what I use anyway. So you're gonna, again, make sure that that one side is up, and you're gonna make it fit on the side opposite of the snake. With my box, we're gonna put the snake on this side, or in our instance, it's gonna be the temp gun, and you're gonna put this piece with the heat pack, the hotter side, pointing towards the snake, but it's gonna be on the opposite side. Snake, heat pack. Then, after you make sure it's fitted, you get your duct tape. You're gonna seal off the two ends. Doesn't have to be like 10 times or anything like that. Just make sure that the sides won't open up or it won't make it poop out or extend more. You really want to limit the movement. So I'm gonna take this thing up, and I actually start off from the back side of the frame. Yeah. So I'll get a piece. It's hard trying to show you while standing up. And I slightly put it behind that, and then I push against it. Now it's not going to go anywhere. Get a piece, bam, like that. And I still got to do that side. And no, I didn't tape it, because I'm just showing you for instance real quick. I'm going to tape this side too, and then I'm going to go around the whole edges and tear off pieces of tape that fit across the whole edge of the paper. But I still want the paper and the heat pad exposed to blow, or to move heat throughout the box. Okay, so back to the box that we're about to ship. That's the heat pack. So you can go ahead and move that, all the stuffing and whatnot, whatever you're using, move it along. And this is what you're left with. So this is the exposed heat pad that I'm going to be using. It's secured pretty firmly. It's moving the wall, but it's secured pretty firmly there, and it's not going to be moving anytime soon. So you're going to put your stuffing back where it was. Go ahead and double check yourself to make sure you don't have it too loose or anything, and no exposed spots. Go back to making my hole again. Now you're stuck with the hole. You got a little bit of airflow through here. Before we put our snake in, we're going to put the top back on, like that. Go close up the box, and I'm going to put some air holes in it. So again, you have the top on already, the top piece on, right? everything's in place. You just gotta know where your heat pack's at. Make sure you know. Okay, it's on this side. And so I'm gonna make holes around my box. Typically when I'm making air holes, I'm gonna do 2 on each side. And I'm gonna do a couple just in front of that heat pack. And you wanna push a pin or something through it. For me, I'm gonna be using a pin. And then you move it around slightly just to make sure there's actual flow of airflow. You know. There you go. So there's 2 here. I'm gonna put one here, and you don't want it to be in the center because that's where we're gonna tape over it. And then 1 here, and then I go a little extra. So I'm gonna put some about here. There, and then another one, another one. So I got several holes kind of all around the place, and that's how I like it. Then you're going to take off the top again, but make sure whenever you put the top back on, you match up the holes that you just made. That way you still have the actual airflow. So theoretically, the heat pack is starting to warm up the box. Usually it takes a couple hours for them to really work. And you're gonna get your snake, put it in a bag. Now whenever I do that, I put a snake in a bag with some like paper towel. And some people fold it up, but what I do is I kind of fold it a little bit and then I scrunch it. That way the snake has something to actually wrap around rather than just sit on top of a square piece. I put that in there, and then I put the snake in there. Alright, then you tie it. Some of them have the slip strings here where you can tie it like that. Now I do that, but I also go back, grab one string, and I tie it around the end here so that you have some extra top that's not attached to the string. Then I do it to the opposite side. And then I go through the loop. And then I do bunny ears, because it's super easy to get out, being the one person. So you're going to tug on the bag from the bottom side where the snake is at, and you're going to make sure that tugging on it won't open the top up. So if it does, then that means the snake can push up and add pressure through it. And then whenever a guy buys it and it gets to him, just slip it. And voila, all done. And there's your snake. So instead, we're going to be using a temp gun. So this temp gun is going to be shipped out to Iron Dog Reptiles. He's super cool, Chris Reeds. So I'm going to be shipping him this, and I'm going to put it in the spot where the snake is. Then, ta-da, there it is. I'm going to line up my sides here again, and I'm going to fold over, and that is secure. With the snake though, you would add probably about a little handful, like I'm talking like a small snowball size of stuffing back on top of the snake, but still leave it enough where there's going to be plenty of airflow, just so you don't smother it. You don't want it to do anything, but just enough for it to be a little cushion, so if it bounces up, it won't be hitting the top. Now we're going to go over it and tape. Now, I have my own type of packing tape, and it holds extremely well. I got this from Vistaprint, and this has my logo across it, same as my banner. It has my handles for Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Plus it has my scales on the back for the banner. Ta-da! And all I have to do for this is I get it wet with warm water, just the white side of it. So I use warm water and a sponge, and I kind of just glide across it, and I'll put it on the top. Usually though, I will go over it with packing tape first, just to cover all the sides, the seams, everything like that. Just make sure that those air holes are still open. And then I'll go over it with my own packing tape, with my logo and everything on it, and then I'll make sure that the holes are there. After that, in the shipping label that you created, you can choose to get a sleeve shipped to you from whoever you ship with. for me at Ship Your Reptiles, and they give me the boxes too. So whenever I order boxes, I also order sleeves for shipping label and whatnot. The words are just getting me there. And I'll slip it, I'll fold the paper, because whenever it prints out, you get like a smaller little square right here. It's kind of like a rectangle, just a small one. And it's enough to fit in the top corner of one of the boxes. And it takes up about 25% of the top. And again, you want to make sure that you're not really covering every air hole. It's okay to cover one, that's why I make multiple. But once I put that on, it has a self-adhesive and it's covered and protected from like weathering or tearing and everything with that sleeve on it. And they can still scan it and put it on through. So then I'll make sure that my tape and the label are good, the holes are good, and yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So I'm gonna get this one shipped out. Also, I'm gonna go ahead and put my stickers and everything in there. I'm gonna hook them up, and yeah, I hope this was helpful, guys. I hope this works out with me just standing up and doing it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little something from this. Hope it was useful. If it was, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and rock on.